Hello, friends, and welcome to a bonus episode of TV is Our Real Mom. I'm Dave,
I'm Katie.
and it's another Survivor episode, of course, Survivor Kaoh Rong, and this is a pre-merge prediction podcast in which we will share our power rankings. Is that what you call them? Just
Wildly inaccurate power rankings.
Yeah, just we're gonna just talk a little bit about where we see alliances happening in the game as far as where people rest and where they're going to their chances of winning the game, I guess, right, Katie?
Yeah.
So and we have this handy dandy chart here that we can use to a little visual aid if we need to move people around on the Survivor board here.
Looks good.
And as you can see, I'm moving the brains around.
You are.
Yep.
There's Neil.
Because they're going to be moving a lot. They're going to be making moves.
I think everybody's got a whole inaccurate read on this whole thing. Everyone's saying the brains are going down. I'm not sure it's going to be quite that simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's Survivor. The modern Survivor never really is that simple. It's going to be a little more nuanced than that, I think. Not just wipe out the brains, but...
Or maybe it is that simple, and that's why Jeff Probst secretly, low-key hates this season.
Yeah, this once again, not much hype about this season, and we're all kind of wondering why and waiting to see what happens here.
Yeah.
Real quick, what you mentioned something about a potential Medivac. Is there any news on that front? I still haven't seen that preview yet.
There's no news. There's bad feelings in my tummy about who it might be, but I don't want to spoil it with my just foreboding, baseless guess. But it's not entirely baseless, I guess.
What are you basing this on?
You
don't have to give me specifics, but like, what did you see or hear, like from Twitter or something, or was it?
No. I don't do any of that. I just watched. I watched the preview they released last week that showed the doctor coming to their beach, and then I went back and watched the season preview that they showed at the end of Second Chances, and I mean, it shed a little bit of light. I mean, it didn't give it away, but it gave me a little more information.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I remember one person that was in that. I remember that preview now. Yes. And
you go back to that preview and we're not anywhere near done. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are getting medevaced. And I feel like that also might be another reason that Jeff Probst is a bit down on the season, because I feel that the momentum might get taken out of this game just because of the medevacs. And if you've been reading like exit interviews and stuff, like half of the pre-jury has had to be medevaced. Caleb had to go back home. Peter had to go back home. Liz had to go back home. Like that, these people were messed up.
Yeah,
it's not done.
Stuff which requires removal of bodily tissue. So
yeah, and it's no joke. And I think a lot more people are going to get infections and things. So
yeah, and if the same thing happens to more contestants, then they are leaving the game, like leaving the area and not able to participate on the jury, which would
we might have a really tiny jury, a final 2 and like a jury of 5. way things are looking to shape up,
which would be very kind of cool in a way because it's just different, but
right, it's just you can see how it could actually be such devastating to the game and the momentum of the game, especially if good people get taken out by it. That would suck. Although we have so many big characters that anyone getting taken out, and we can discuss like which players being taken out would really devastate the game the most. But as far as entertainment value, I mean, everybody's got a little bit of potential. So I feel like, a medevac's going to hurt. You're going to feel it in some sense.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start just right away with that while since you mentioned it. Which people do you feel like if they got medevaced would, I think you said devastate the game?
Well, because you have some potential swing people, I think. Or you also have people that are really core alliance members. So let's say you have the 3 bronze, you have Scott, Jason, and Sydney, and you clearly have Ty with them as well. So if one of those guys gets medevaced, that really hurts that core group because the Brains still have 4 people. Do they? Yeah.
Yes, they do. We got
The Brains still have 4 people. So if that group loses one, yeah, you got 4 Brains there. So if the Scott, Ty, Sydney, Jason alliance loses a member, they're suddenly down numbers. And these 3 beauties become way more important to the Brawn. And same with the Brains. Like if Joe goes out, like everybody says he's going to go out because he's an old man, then those guys are suddenly really screwed. So, if any member of those 2 blocks gets taken out, which is a good chance, 8 of 11, then they're in trouble. If any of these 3 on the bottom get taken out, I don't think it's quite as big a deal, but it still leaves the 2 blocks with less swing votes, less people to woo to their side, less wiggle room.
right. And what about like just big characters of the season like Ty or Debbie?
Yeah, that would really, really hurt because I feel like Ty might be the worst because he's in a good position. He has an idol. He is in a solid group, it appears, that has another idol in it. And so he's set up really well and he's just joy on screen. So to lose him and to be stuck with all these assholes, because everyone other than Ty is kind of an asshole, at least the guys. So that would probably be the most devastating to lose Ty in several different ways.
Yeah, and you can see from a production standpoint how much that would suck for them, the makers of the show, where they see it because the first part of this season has been really good. I think most people agree that it's been an awesome season so far.
Not Russell Hantz. Russell Hantz does not agree.
Oh yeah, well,
he's a dick.
He is sour grapes, as I've heard it said.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, losing big characters like you said, especially Ty, because of his position in the game and the potential for the moves he could make and the gameplay that could happen there, and just the way this merge is set up, it could be really exciting. And to have Medivacs kind of squash the whole thing, from a production standpoint, that would just suck. And I can see why they didn't hype it up. Because I mean, if we know there's going to be more Medivac situations, then it's becoming more clear,
why this season might not. I mean, it's going to, no matter, every medevac you have detracts a little bit from the narrative of the season. So the first one actually turned out to be kind of a heroic story of the season, and it didn't hurt the season at all. It was emotionally very impactful. However, if it keeps, let's say you lose Ty. First Caleb, then Ty, and then there's no strategy behind either of those departures. And then let's say you lose Debbie next. Like this just, I mean, you can't really call this an amazing season with that much potential just ripped out of it,
Yes, exactly. So I guess we just hope for the best then.
Let's hope that Joe goes down and everyone else can keep playing and there's no more medevacs and it's just a psych for the rest of them. Psych.
So I guess we agree then that the lowest man on the totem pole of the power rankings has got to be Joe, right?
I mean, I said that in our last podcast that Joe's the only one I can't picture winning.
Yeah. And
it's not that I dislike him.
I said he could win, but it would be like a strange scenario where he won. And I'm just saying I could see him actually winning in some strange fashion, but I don't think he's going to.
I think the only way that Joe wins is if he makes it to the end, and it's probably going to be a final 2 at this rate. Let's just say it's a final 2, the way people are going to drop, at least from what they say.
Yep.
Then let's say Joe goes up against Jason and Jason has just screwed everybody and they're just so mad at him and he has the Russell Hantz syndrome and they just give it to Joe by default. So that's the only way I can see Joe winning. Unless he picks up his strategy I mean, I guess that's possible, but I don't really foresee that happening.
Right.
You know what they say about old dogs?
Yes. Yeah, Joe is just he's in a decent position, I guess, but the brains are sort of
You
the
said the brains are not in a good spot, I thought.
Yeah, I don't think the brains are in a good spot, but I feel like I don't think anyone's really gunning for Joe necessarily. So he could coast along for a while and maybe do something later on.
He's the only one in that last vote at tribal council that didn't really go with the plan. So,
but now when you get into the merge, though, it's all about threats. That's all. Everybody votes on threats. It doesn't. I mean, that's what I think. These days, modern Survivor, they vote more on threats than
unless that threat is in their alliance.
Right. I suppose early merge boots, you could see them stick more to the lines of the alliance.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess Joe is in a decent position, but I just don't get a strong enough feeling from him to think he could actually really win it. He's the least likely to win out of all 11 remaining people. So that's why I put him at the bottom of the list.
Hey, high five. He's at the bottom of my list too.
So far, we're on track. Digital
that's
high
probably
five.
That's the only one we have the same.
Probably. So Joe, we're gonna move you slightly off to the side for now.
Because you're not gonna win.
You're not gonna win.
Sorry, Joe. You kick ass. I would love to hang out with you sometime, but not gonna win.
All right, so we're down to 10 people.
That's accurate.
How do you want to approach this? Do you want to build some suspense here, or do you just want to throw out your name on your list? Or
yeah, maybe we should just go up the list, and then make our case for our person in that spot.
Sure. Do you want to go first?
Sure. In the number 10 spot, I have Nick.
Oh, your third winner pick.
He's not my winner pick. Okay, have we disclosed to the audience that we have a fantasy Survivor League?
I don't think we've ever disclosed that, no.
And you have to pick your MVP, just like we have to make our winner picks before you see one episode of the show. And so for some reason, I picked Liz and Peter to win. That was dumb. I admit it. I'm sorry. And then so I didn't want to have either of those as my MVP for the fantasy league. And so I didn't know who to pick. I just wanted a funny name because we come up with tribe names. And then I thought of the name Nickweed because it rhymes with dickweed. And so I picked Nick as my MVP. And he's still around, so whatever.
Yeah,
to the merge.
To be honest, I think Nick could potentially at least make it to the end. It's still still possible. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have him low just because
I'm much more impressed with his game in the last couple episodes from what we've seen. But
no, I don't think he has a bad read on the game at all. But Survivor is the social game of Survivor is extremely important, and his needs a little bit of work. Although if you look at him and Debbie, his social game is on point. But if you look at him and Michelle, it's horrible. So he needs to, treat Michelle a little bit more like he's treating Debbie, I guess. Fake it till you make it. You don't have to actually be, want to be nice to someone. But in the game, you have to pretend to be nice and pretend like someone's opinions matter. And then when you disagree with them, you have to find a tactful way too. But I don't know if Nick...
You have to give people what they want, right? And
yeah, you have to let them believe what they want.
Yeah, he seems to have a good read on what Debbie, wants out of an interaction and what she seeks from people and how to please her. And I'm wondering what he thinks Michelle wants, what his read on that is. We never really got a confessional on what he thinks of Michelle and what we kind of got one last week a little bit. But yeah, it's tough to say how he sees her, but he obviously isn't doing it right with her. So
yeah, and I feel like I don't know, they're setting it up. I'm just going by the edit on this. So the only reason I have Nick so low is because suddenly he had a little bit more airtime, and it's it's worrisome.
Yeah, the courtesy of giving him more airtime before he hits the road.
Gets booted, yeah.
Yes, I could
Or
see
it could
that.
be Michelle, but I feel like that was set up to make him look bad. So
Right,
I don't know.
right.
So that was my number 10. Not a lot of theory behind it, but it's just a feeling. Who do you got at number 10, Dave?
I got Scott at number 10.
Whoa. Our
Yeah.
lists are going to diverge insanely at this point.
Yeah. Well, I kind of made two lists for this thing, and we're kind of going off the one that's more like who has the best chance to win the whole thing, and that's kind of what my power rankings are based around. If this was a prediction of the outcome of the game and boot order, I think Scott might be way farther down the list for me, like, final three probably. Um,
Mm.
but in a chances to win scenario, I don't think anyone's gonna vote for ever gonna vote for the guy with $1 million already.
He's
It's
probably
it's
got more
just
than 1 million.
yeah, it's just so unlikely to me that that'll ever happen. That
Okay,
I
so
I
so we
can't
are looking at this list a little bit differently because I see now how you're looking at yours. Like, you're thinking all the way to the end. Like, is this person
winner. Yeah.
gonna get any votes? I guess. I mean, I didn't
If
put that much thought into mine.
yeah,
Mine is
no.
more just like, positions in the game. Like, who's in the worst position
Yeah,
to who's
that's
at the.
that's okay because they do kind of both. They are kind of both the same thing in a way,
Yeah,
because
they are.
his position in the game is, yeah, fine, but I just he drops down on my list because he's a threat. No one
Mm-hmm.
wants him at the end. There's multiple reasons why he probably won't make it all the way and win the game,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's in a good position. Yes,
Mm.
but he drops down for me because there's so many points in the game where you could vote him out. He's the obvious vote, and there's at the very end, he's obviously not going to win. So, which I mean, I hope I
I
hope he proves me wrong. I hope, because the money thing shouldn't matter
no.
at this point in Survivor. People should appreciate good gameplay and vote on
I
that.
have a theory about Scott in that his story arc seems to be that you're only as good as the company you keep. And he's got two crazy alliance mates right now in Ty and Jason.
Is Ty crazy?
Well, in a very good way, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a little
In the
crazy though,
most
I guess.
adorable, precious way that you could be. There, I think to play Survivor, you have to be a little bit crazy.
Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway, I mean, like, they're two of the biggest characters on the season. They both have idols, and Scott is aligned with both of them. And I think if he loses either of them, be it a medevac or just someone they get voted out, that's gonna hurt Scott a lot. So I think he really needs to keep his alliance close to him. Otherwise, he's gonna be there's nowhere for him to hide.
Right. So yeah. So that was my number 10 pick, I guess.
Yeah, you don't think Scott's gonna win, but I don't.
No.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does.
Yeah. Which is why he's number 10. All right. Do you want to give us your number 9?
At number 9, it pains me to say this, but I have Debbie.
Oh, Debbie. That's funny. Our lists are really different.
I'm telling you, you're gonna be shocked at the top of my list.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right.
I feel like Debbie is her scheming is obvious. I mean, maybe it's just obvious to us. Maybe it's not obvious to the people out there. But I feel like a lot of people, especially a lot of the women, are playing super under the radar, quiet games. And Debbie's not. And I feel like if the brains are going to be the target, Debbie might be the obvious, like, she's scheming. She's making deals with Nick, but she's making deals with Michelle. And, people are going to talk about that, that she's making deals with both the beauty and the brawn. And I think, she's not going to be able to hide as easily as a lot of the other girls. So I think, like, it sucks, but I think that Debbie might be gone earlier than we want her to be.
Yeah, I could see that. She is kind of telling everyone the same thing, and if other people talk to each other at all, that's not gonna go over too well. Like
And if
eventually they're gonna compare stories, right? Like, oh, she
right,
told me the same thing. Yeah.
and if any of the guys hear that she was saying, "Oh, a woman needs to win," they're gonna smell a girls' alliance and they're gonna squash it. So I feel like if that
Yeah.
gets out, she's in serious trouble. So
Yeah. So you think if it got out that Debbie was the one to say that she would be the girl that they went after? They wouldn't just go after a girl that she was talking to, or they would
no,
go.
have
They
you
would go.
watched Survivor when they were talking about when Monica was talking about it? They sliced her right out of the game. She
Right.
was
Yeah.
gone before she could turn around. So
Of course,
no, I think
Of course, I've watched Survivor, Katie. I've watched
have you? No, I'm just
watched
kidding.
a few episodes.
I'm kidding. But no, I'm probably just going by recent history. But the person, and maybe this is more Big Brother, but like if you are the person to utter Girls Alliance, they're coming for you and they will
Right.
end it. So
Okay.
if people get wind that it was Debbie, she's done.
Sure. I just wonder if it was somebody like Sydney that it was said to, if
Look
they
at with
might.
Jen. It already happened once this season with Jen
Yeah,
and
that's
Alicia.
true. They didn't go after anyone else but the person who
Mentioned.
seemed to be guilty. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I sort of can see where you're coming from there. I guess I always think back to the edit, and that's kind of why I have her higher on my list, is because she's got just like a hero story kind of going on. So that's kind of why she's higher for me. But I definitely think you make a strong case for that. I will go ahead and give my number 9 now, if that's okay.
That's
You
just
said
fine. Go
okay.
on.
um, my number 9 pick is Ty.
Oh,
Yeah.
reasons?
The reason is reasons.
Is
I
it
guess,
the same thing as Scott? No one, or he just won't get to the end? Is that
yeah, I guess it's because no one will take him to the end. I do feel like he's in a good position. You know, he's sitting pretty good with that alliance with Scott. He could probably still work the beauties over if he wanted to. I think Scott will bring him right into that bronze alliance. The brains obviously are going to love him. Probably, I'm assuming they're just going to love him and they're not going to want to vote him out. So he's in a good position for a couple more votes. But soon enough, they'll realize he's a threat. Towards the middle of the game, they'll be like, this guy is, no brainer to get rid of. And it won't be long before somebody finds a way to get him out of the game. So that's why he lands at number 9 for me.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, but I don't disagree because he is my number 8. So
Yeah, he's so brilliantly likable. It cannot be denied.
and they'll sniff it out soon enough. Like you said, it won't happen right away, I don't think.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to take. They're not going to get deep in the merge before they realize Ty, he has to go. And what role the idol plays in that, I do not know. I have a sad feeling that he might like get tricked out of his idol by like
Ooh.
Jason or something. You
Yeah,
know.
I've heard other people talk about that. I wonder if there's like rumors floating around or
I mean,
something.
I haven't heard anything, but you can just see, and that would be another reason why ultimately Jeff doesn't like this season.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we should stop making so much of that because he's underhyped good seasons before.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, it's possible that something bad down the road happens and it taints this season, and that would certainly do it for me.
Yeah. Ty getting tricked out of his idol. That would be.
By someone who's already seen as a bully.
Yeah. Not
and
good.
then he is able to use it as the super idol to save somebody else or something.
Yeah. Like not only do they take it away from Ty, but they are
use it
able
on
to
someone else.
use it very powerfully for themselves, and maybe they become just completely villains at that point, and it's not
Which
good.
every story needs a villain, but
And in Survivor, villains can be the winners, so that's That's okay.
Unless that villain is Russell Hantz.
Yeah, he's just too much of a villain.
He
I
cannot
guess.
win.
Russell always finds a way into the podcast.
Second time.
Just a fascinating player. I mean, you can't deny that. Yeah, so you had Ty just one spot above me, right?
Number 8.
I have got Nick at number 8.
Okay, so we're
not too far off in some ways, but yeah, in others I could tell we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of touched on why Nick probably won't win because he's kind of got a personality that doesn't seem to go over too well with a lot of people. Can't really see him getting any votes at the end of the game. It depends on what he's able to do. Because if he really turns on the Jets in the merge game, I mean, he might make a decent winner because he seems to have the mindset for it. The kind of cutthroat. Yeah.
He keeps like talking about how great of a manipulator he is, yet we have yet to see it in action, see it reap any benefits. So
right. He's been very.
He's just a boy who cried wolf at this point. I need to see something. Don't just hear about it.
Right. And one could argue that he's been biding his time, just trying to float under the radar until the merge, and then we'll start to see what Nick is made of, which I would be fine with.
Yeah.
You know, he could make a decent winner if we start seeing some gameplay, like you said, if we start seeing some evidence of this manipulation.
Well, I think it is his plan to lie low, because early on in the season, when you still had 3 tribes and Caleb was still around, he had a secret scene where he talked about, yeah, Caleb, you win all the challenges for us. You do all the hard work. Ty, you do all the work around camp. That allows me to blend into the background and not be seen as a threat. Yet somehow he still managed to be seen as the biggest threat on that tribe. They just never went to tribal council. But
yeah, I don't know if in that tribe they saw him as the biggest threat, but he just didn't seem to be getting along with everyone as well as that seemed kind of more like what it was with him. But yeah, because you forget that in the very first part of the game, it's almost more important to prove yourself useful to the team, just to avoid. You really just want to get through that first vote or two, especially in a six person tribe. Yeah. And the best way to do that is to show that you're worth keeping around. And that's just the first part of the game. It definitely changes very quickly after that. But that's true. So he probably had the wrong strategy, but he managed to get by.
Just because they didn't lose.
Exactly. Yep. Otherwise, he'd probably be gone.
He has not been to tribal council. He and Michelle have never been to tribal council. So tomorrow night should be interesting for that.
Yeah. If neither one gets medevaced, I guess.
I guess maybe there might not be a tribal council tomorrow, but.
Oh yeah, yeah, true.
That'd be crazy. Someone doesn't go to tribal council until the 8th episode of the show.
Jeez, yeah, that'd be lucky. What about Palau when that tribe just got demolished?
Well, they had one challenge where both tribes were going to go to tribal council no matter what, and the winning tribe, the tribe who won immunity, got to eat. They had their tribal council first, and then they would eat stew in front of the tribe that lost. And Kaoh still won, so they had to vote somebody out. And Oolong had to sit and watch them eat stew after they voted somebody out, their first person out.
And I don't remember who they voted out, but it was probably somebody that nobody liked.
It was Willard. He was an old man.
Oh, yeah. So it was somebody everyone could kind of agree on, so it wasn't even that big of a deal. No. They just like, okay, he's gone. We can eat stew now.
Right.
That's pretty awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Well, why don't you give us your number 7 pick?
At number 7, I have your boy Neil.
Oh, why? No, I'm just kidding.
That's pretty high according to your doomsday predictions for Neil every week.
Yeah, I've been talking all season about Neil's in danger.
Going down.
He's in danger. He's always in danger.
If he can withstand all these medevacs, he's at least gonna get like 8th place. So
yeah, right. Well, that's not too bad.
No, but I I mean, I have him there for the simple reason that I think the brains are going to be a target. And I think Neil's probably going to be the biggest target. And his immunity idol is going to save him for at least 1 or 2 votes. But he only has one. I don't know if they're going to put more out there after one of these idols gets used or how it's going to work. And if they do, I wouldn't put it past him getting another one because of how easily it appeared he got the first one. But, I'm just going by chances. I think eventually the attention on him will be hard to ignore. But I honestly think that Neil's smart enough that he can actually make it deeper in the game. It was just for who I had, who else was there, that I felt that I had to put Neil there. I don't see him really infiltrating that Braun and Beauty group, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. I think Neil is going to be the obvious target really early on in the merge, and it's going to stick with him however far he makes it down the road. And hopefully he does get a chance to play the idol and enjoy that experience. And but yeah, it's going to be tough to just shake that target, and I don't see him getting too far. Yeah, I have to agree with you.
You're so concerned with Neil's Survivor experience.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
that's a pretty cool experience, to be able to make the merge and find an idol and provide for the tribe and play your idol. So
yeah, I guess everybody has. That's what's cool about Survivor is everybody has a character on the show that they can relate to more. And I think Neil this season is. I tend to also pick my winner picks and MVPs like based on that a lot of times more than I should. The people I relate to, the people that I kind of root for because I see bits of myself in them. Neil kind of fits the bill this season more than anyone else. I feel like the only time I think that prediction has ever been right for me was Cochran because I don't know how he won, but he did. It was cool.
He was smooth his season. I mean, it wasn't the best season, but he played it perfectly. So
yeah, he did it. He did a good job. He deserved to win. I shouldn't say I don't know how he did it because I definitely enjoyed watching.
He played a winning game.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think that's why I talk a lot about Neil's experiences because like he's the character I sort of relate to the most. Not that we have a ton in common, but yeah. Like you said, I'm still rooting for Neil. I still would love to see him find a way to the end because I think Neil gets to the end. His tribal council speech will be decent, and he has a real shot at winning the whole thing. So, yeah.
I don't understand why people were so down on him at the beginning of the season. Like people, I mean, I didn't see what those people were seeing, and I think now those people feel dumb because Neil's playing a solid game.
Yeah, I saw the guy that, typically does well in Survivor because he's like right in the middle where you want to be. You have that ability. You're smart, you're capable, but you're also low key enough and you know when to keep your mouth shut. Sometimes if you're just soft spoken enough, it serves you very well in Survivor because you don't get yourself into trouble by mouthing off and stuff. And I feel like that was Neil. That's why I picked him pretty much. So, but yeah, still pulling for him. Hope he makes it. Chances are gonna be tough, but yeah, that's why I actually have Neil at number 6.
Wait, you didn't say who your number 7 was?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that
spoilers.
Well, you did that before. You did that in the vote before. You said
that's because he was next. That's because it was my turn and he was next.
Not the vote before, the pick before or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Aubrey at number 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Her and Neil are a little bit interchangeable, I feel.
Yeah, me too. They're both big threats on the brains, and if the brains kind of become the target, which that's what I'm leaning towards happening, those are the ones that are going to be taken out first. And Aubrey, I just feel like she doesn't have the relationships she needs in place to make it all the way. She definitely is smart enough. She's playing a little too scared. I think that's going to bite her in the ass.
Yeah, I feel like she, it's good to stick with your alliance and be tight with Joe. That's fine. But I feel like she had a golden opportunity here at this new tribe to get tight with Julia, who was probably, I mean, I guess she is quite a bit younger than her, but they're still young-ish girls that could bond. And Ty, she had an opportunity to bond with Ty too. And I feel like, maybe they did and they didn't show it, but I just feel like she didn't embrace the opportunity as much as she should have. I mean, what was she going to do? Scare Peter off? He was already trying to get her out. And Joe, I mean, she could easily, massage Joe's worries and be like, yeah, don't worry. I'm just trying to make sure the two of us are safe and that they're looking at somebody else, So Joe's not long for this game anyway. So,
yeah.
I mean, I know that's not the way to look at it. You look at him as a number and you should want to keep all your numbers, but I still think Aubrey should have maybe tried a little bit harder to develop really strong bonds with the tribe she was giving going into the merge. Because, I don't know. It's smart.
Yeah,
it's smart.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Totally.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So I said my number 6 was Neil. Did you give your number 6 yet? I don't think you
Are
did.
we on number 6?
Well, I went, you said, I talked about Neil already.
Aubrey's my number 6, so I already talked.
So we just talked. All right, we just had them flipped around. Yeah. So we're relatively in the ballpark here. So
okay, we've just got a couple outliers. So who's your number 6?
Neil.
Okay, we just had those switched. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So I guess we don't need to talk about him anymore. You already provided quite the soliloquy on Neil. So
yes, I did. Yes, I did. You deserve it, buddy.
Is that 6? 11, 10, 9, 8, 11, 10, 9.
I don't know if you gave.
That
you
is
said
6.
Yeah, you gave 6 was Aubrey. And I had 7 Aubrey, 6 Neil. You had switched around. Okay. So go ahead and give us your number 5.
I have Scott at number 5.
Okay. Cool.
I think Scott's in an awesome position. Just looking at the photos for the press photos they released for the next episode, I just by looking at the pictures, I get a sense that Scott is very at ease with this new tribe, and he feels like this is where I'm going to start to shine, because he is in an undeniable power position in this new tribe. He's got coming back together with Jason. There's a very funny press photo of Scott carrying Jason up to the beach out of the boat. So they're happy to be back together. And I think he's got Ty in his pocket where he could actually probably fit.
Yeah.
And
very good. Very good.
And I think Julia is going to be tight with them, and Julia can go back to Michelle. So I think there's a lot of pieces working in Scott's favor. However, I agree with what you said earlier that, he's not, if he makes it to the end, his chances of winning are small. And I honestly don't think he will make it to the end. I think eventually he's just going to run out of places to hide. And Jason, while they are partners, I don't think Jason would think twice about cutting his throat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think, and if Ty goes out earlier, like we expect him to, he doesn't have that to rely on. So I think that Scott's going to go deep in the merge, but I think right before the end, he's going to get cut.
Yep. Total. Sounds like we are on the same page with that one too.
Except for where they land.
Yeah. Different positions, but kind of feel the same way. Yeah. My number 5 is Julia.
Okay.
And I think it's kind of obvious why she's in the middle, because she's going to go far. No one's gunning for Julia at this point at the merge. I mean, who's going to be like, let's take out Julia? She's the biggest threat in the game. Let's do that. And it's not going to happen. So,
yeah.
I just, for that reason, she's definitely going to float a ways.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. She was in such danger in this last vote, and all she had to do was survive that vote.
Yeah.
And she was going to go back to being just not invisible, but someone who was not on anyone's radar. And so, yeah, she's looking good right now.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the game. And it's something you don't, I remember I didn't foresee things like that happening when you're new to Survivor and you haven't. But after you've seen many seasons of Survivor, you start to see how these things kind of they seem to happen almost every time. Like people like her, if they can survive that one tough spot, I mean, she's good for a while. Should be, But that's the other cool thing about the game is anything can happen. Unpredictable things happen. Anything could happen that could change that and make her public enemy number one. So it's awesome. But yeah, Julia, good chance she could go all the way to the final three, but because I don't see her being a likely candidate to win, I feel like people are on the jury are hesitant to give $1 million to an 18-year-old. I guess that has been kept secret. Is that right?
I think the last episode she told them she was a junior in college, so that they think she's around 21, which is
right.
There have been plenty of 21-year-old winners with Fabio and Jenna, and I think Natalie White maybe was.
I think
so. She's that young.
I think I heard Sophie was too. Yeah.
Sophie was very young too. So it's not unprecedented, but an 18-year-old, 19-year-old winner, I think is unprecedented.
So if that gets out, I feel like that hurts her chances of winning. No one wants to give
I don't think it's going to get out. If she doesn't tell anyone, how's it going to get out?
I think Michelle knows. And if Michelle decides to share that information for whatever reason, or it slips, I mean, they are starving and hot, and maybe it slips,
Dehydrated, yeah.
So
okay.
Because of that, she falls down. Otherwise, I would have her at like number 2. But
okay.
Just can't see her winning, honestly.
No, I mean, I want to see some really solid moves from her before I feel comfortable giving her a endorsement to win.
Yeah, right on. Let's hear your number 4.
Jason. Got Jason at number 4.
Very good. Very good.
I think come that stage in the game, there's nowhere left for him to hide. Unless he weasels someone else's idol away from them, which I wouldn't put past him, but I think he's going to have played his idol by that point. Yeah, you can't even use your idol past the final 4, can you?
Not typically, no. This
could be a weird season.
Well,
but
I feel like it kind of depends on if there's a final 2 or final 3, right? That kind of determines when you can play, because they just don't want you to be able to play your idol
to make it to the finals.
Yeah, because they want you to have to depend somewhat on the social element or the challenge element. They want you to play the game of Survivor, not just have a free ticket into the end. And I've always liked that. I thought that makes sense. Although a lot of people, get screwed at the very end, like Malcolm, for example.
Or Kelly Wentworth.
Yeah, or Kelly Wentworth. Great example. Yes, man.
That was tough.
As much as I like Jeremy, I was pulling for her because she just played a phenomenal game last season. But
I think if it's a final 3, you can use it at 5 and then you're done. And I think if it's final 2, you can use it at 4. So if it is a final 2, with judging by Medivacs, I'm gonna guess it is.
Yep.
Then he could still use an idol at 4, but I have him at 4 just because I think at that point there's gonna be the jig is gonna be up and it's gonna be over for him, and his torch will finally be snuffed. But he certainly has a strategy, I think, to go further and to make it to the end. If Bully Jason rears his head again, at least when talking to the other players and not just to us, then I think he's going to have a really hard time winning, which is why I don't have him in my top 3.
I can see that. That's a good argument.
All right. Number 4 for you?
Number 4 for me is Michelle.
All right.
And
are her and Julia kind of interchangeable, or do you actually have more faith in Michelle's skills than Julia's?
Yeah, I do feel like Michelle and
you seem confused.
Yeah, not really confused, just like it's kind of more like sigh. Yeah. Michelle and Julia, I feel like you said, are kind of interchangeable. I lean more towards Michelle having better chances because I guess maybe just being a little older, like coming across as more like not as like innocent and And maybe Julia totally deserves to be perceived a different way, but it doesn't matter. It's all about how you're perceived. And I think Michelle, if she made it versus Julia, would be perceived more as like, oh, she got herself there. Oh, she played a good social game, blah blah blah. I just like her chances better to win. But as far as like why she's in the 4/5 spot, is pretty much the same exact reasons I discussed with Julia. So there's not much else to say there, honestly.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, cool. Your number 3 spot.
I have Julia in the number 3 spot.
Right.
I think Julia could easily go to the end with her tight alliances with Michelle and Scott, and potentially if she's with Scott, that probably means she's going to end up with Jason. And so I think that's going to be a really good group for her to hide in for a long time. And the only reason I have her below who my number 2 is because I think from what we've seen, and we haven't seen a lot, granted, but I think Julia is going to be better in challenges. And therefore, I think she's going to be viewed more as a threat. And so she'll probably be gotten rid of before. Obviously, I have Michelle at number 2.
Yeah, it's
obvious. Before she's gotten rid of Michelle, because I think she's just a little bit stronger in challenges. Because remember the ball thing, like how amazing she was at that, and then Michelle just in the last couple challenges has really kind of sucked it up. Mm-hmm. So I just think that's the only distinguishing factor I have between the two. I think both of them are going deep into the game.
Yeah.
And I just decided to put Michelle above Julia, as you did.
As I did, yes. I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
Neato.
So you're number 3?
My number 3
number 2.
And number 2 might as well. My number 3 is Sydney. And why, you asked?
Yeah, why? Why? That usually comes next.
I mean, yeah, it's so many reasons. I think we've talked a lot throughout the season in our previous podcasts of how impressed we are with Sydney. She's more than just muscles. She is a smart person, seemingly. Mm-hmm. She seems smart. She has got a great social game. She knows when to hold her tongue. Mm-hmm. She's really good at floating kind of in the middle and letting everything kind of happen around her. That's just a huge part of Survivor. I feel like a winning game is sort of staying in the middle there and watching everyone just go down around you and hanging out there in the middle. And yeah, she's got strong bonds with multiple people from multiple alliances. She's got strong bond with Scott and Jason. She seems to have formed a strong bond with Debbie, and sounds like, you know, with Jason forming a bond with Nick, I feel like she's just kind of in that alliance, or in that sort of, you know, if it's a real alliance or not is yet to be seen, but it's been talked about, and she kind of falls into that. Yeah, she's included by association, right?
Yeah.
So she's just got so much going for her. She's playing a good game, and she seems to be good in challenges, and she looks like, you know, obviously she looks so strong, like she must be good in challenges, right? So so she's got that going for her too. She's just got a lot going for her. Like I said, great social game. I guess just my top 2 I just feel better about as winners of the game. So that's why she didn't. She could easily win the game, in my opinion, but
yep,
I just have 2 more that I think could win. So,
well, I'm curious to hear who your number 2 is. I know who you have left, but I'm wondering who's going to be the winner and who's going to not be the winner.
Yeah, right. Well, no. Is it time for my number 2?
Well, yeah, I told you that Michelle was my number 2, so.
Right. Okay. Yes, my number 2 is Debbie.
Damn it.
Yeah. Debbie, I just feel like I'm basing this mostly on a hero edit, kind of like and of course, if she can manage to get that far into the game to the end, I guess. I think she could
Yeah,
win.
to
I think,
win you have to get, or to get second place you have to get to the end.
yeah, right. um, I guess I just feel like she could get a lot of votes on the jury. You know, I think people would love to vote for Debbie to win. People would love
Yeah.
to.
Mm-hmm.
I think she could make it there too. It's just a matter of getting through. If the brains get kind of decimated, if that's the tribe that gets ripped apart, if that's the way things go, she just needs to find a way to be the one that is the last one standing in brains. And if you're the last one standing in a tribe, and there's full tribes left, that's when those people start to use you as the vote. And that's where she could really excel. And she seems to have already laid the groundwork for all this to happen. So I feel strong about Debbie's gameplay. Like the very first 1 or 2 episodes, I thought, man, this lady is batshit crazy. She has no chance in hell of winning. But it was all based on some edit that they showed us, like, yeah, that's a part of Debbie, and I'm sure she annoyed people on day one, but it seems like people warm up to her. And I loved when we started seeing more of her amazing gameplay, like just working it out there. So
Yeah, I think eventually her weirdness and craziness became kind of an endearing thing because she's kind to people
yeah,
and she's warm to people, and she doesn't show them how savvy she is at this game, and so they kind of look at her as a fun, loving, non-threatening presence to have around them, and people like that in this game. And so I think that is exactly where she needs to stay. And I don't disagree with you that she can go far. I would just,
yeah, you were kind of like me with Scott in a way, similar to that, where seeing her as more of a threat and likely to be seen that way kind of drops her down on the list for you. But I guess I feel really good about her gameplay, and if she can manage to get to the end there, I think she wins it.
I think, yeah, if she gets to the end, she's going to get a lot of votes, unless she really pisses some people off. And it's funny, people tend to act so, devastated at some of the dumbest things in Survivor. But because it happened to them, and that's what got them out of the game, they're hurt by it. And so you can easily see people ending up sore at Debbie. But I think she's so exuberant that a lot of people would have a hard time not voting for her.
Right. All right. So
my number one pick,
number one
the
pick,
winner of Survivor Kaoh Rong is Sydney.
Oh yeah.
Sydney's my pick to win. This girl has endured it all. She has kept her mouth shut on the most volatile beach we've seen in a long time, around people that, I would have trouble keeping my mouth shut around. And she kept her cool, and she was good with all of those people, even though some of the people she was working with got voted out. She endured the tribe swap like a champ. She worked her way in with people she needed to work her way in with, like Debbie. And she's got an excellent social game. And I think she's keeping her, I mean, it's hard to hide her strength because physically it's apparent. But I think down the stretch, when there's just a few people left, she's just going to kill those challenges. And she is going to, barrel her way to the end, unless the conditions are so harsh that they really take a toll on her, like they did during that one challenge,
right.
Which I can see that happening. But I feel like she's got to this stage, and I feel like the medevacs at this point are going to be those infections that we've heard a lot about, and not so much the dehydration and the heat that got Caleb and Debbie and Sydney. So I think she's gotten over the hump, and she's just going to beast her way to the end and win because of how amazing her social game and strategy is. However, I'm a little concerned that we're kind of building Sydney up, and when push comes to shove, she's not going to be as amazing as we all think she is. But she's already kind of proven that she's good at this game, and she's playing it at this point the way you need to play it. You don't want to get attention at this point unless it's just like, oh, I like Sydney, that kind of attention.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said there. Sydney is a very, very strong potential winner. I agree.
I would love to see her win. It would be amazing. We have not had a female winner since Natalie.
What's that, like 3 seasons?
Long enough. It's been long enough.
What is it supposed to alternate every time or something?
No, I'm just saying there's more male Survivor winners than female Survivor winners.
Is there really? I thought it was pretty even.
Yeah. No, I think it was at one time, but lately it's been pretty skewed. But yeah, I'm Team Sydney all the way. Don't let me down, girl.
All right, cool. And by process of elimination, you can probably figure out that my winner pick for the power rankings is a man by the name of Kylo Jason.
Kylo Jason.
And I just think he's going to play that aggressive style of game that, is really tough to win that way. But
yeah, do you think that's a winning game to play that way?
It can be. I mean, and it just depends on the season and the circumstances. And I can see Jason making it all. If he makes it to the end, I feel like he wins. Unless he's up against Debbie, then it's a close call. Or
Ty.
Or Ty. Ty is very likable. But I think there's a good chance people can vote for like who played more aggressively too. I mean,
well, and think of his story, his 2 daughters, and one has autism.
He's got the heartstrings tugging story he can use. He also has an idol. So idol, pretty much the winner always finds an idol. Whoever finds an idol wins the season. It's almost always like that.
Yeah, we've had that discussion, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems to. I know going back at least like 5 seasons, that's the case, which is pretty crazy. But
Jeremy did.
What was the
Mike. Oh yeah, Mike did. Natalie did.
Cochran
Tyson did. I don't know. Did Cochran?
I think he found an idol, didn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
not.
You're right. Winners find idols. So
it's just because they're playing harder,
Yeah.
And sometimes in this game, it really does come down to who wants it the most. Like, I mean, I feel like Tony Vachos, how do you say his name?
Tony Vlachos.
Vlachos, I always screw it up. Tony Vlachos is a prime example of that. Like, by no means should he had no right to win that game, but he wanted it so bad, and he strong-armed his way all the way. And I feel like Kyle's a similar type of player, maybe not as intelligent. Well, I don't know if you can call it intelligent. It's just like conniving, maybe not as sneaky or clever.
I don't think Kyle is as intelligent.
Maybe not. Yeah.
I've seen some of his spelling on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, sometimes that can be a good indicator of that. But
it doesn't mean you're not good at this game. You don't have to pass a spelling test to win Survivor.
Right. I just have this feeling that you could see his aggressive play style just come through for him. So that's kind of why I put him at number 1. And also, of course, it doesn't hurt to have an edit that shows you as a character, an interesting, compelling character, makes you more likely to be the winner.
I don't think I feel like he's very aggressive in his confessionals. And I feel like he was very vocal about his distaste for Alicia.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't, because he's been invisible on his tribe since the swap. I mean, granted, his tribe won both, so they didn't show them as much. But I feel like that might not be the way he's playing as much as we've been led to believe. I mean, he's an ass in confessionals, but you want that. You want someone who's playing the game well, but just giving it to us in confessionals. That's what Debbie does.
Yeah, that's what Cochran did too.
Yeah, like save it for the cameras.
Yeah.
Like if I couldn't swear and let loose my true feelings in front of people, the cameramen are going to get an earful because it has to come out somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? Right. And so except the Alicia stuff was bad, and we don't need to talk about that again, but I don't know how aggressively he's actually playing. I guess you can go back to the idol hunt again, but that again involved Alicia. So
right. Well, there you have it. That's the power rankings.
Yeah, we have basic consensus, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
overall it was very close. We have a couple outliers, and I think we still kind of agree on how those outliers, have it pretty much comes down to a weird set of circumstances where,
as it always does, yeah.
this has to happen, and then they'll go from the bottom to the top,
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, a pretty close agreement between the two of our lists there. I was thinking if you have a few more minutes, it might be fun to look at this thing here and just real quickly, just like play out. Let's not spend too much time on it, but just play out a scenario of boot order. Like,
oh my goodness, oh boy, okay.
And we'll just kind of drag them all out. Drag them.
Are we doing medevacs, or are we just pretending medevacs aren't a thing?
Let's if you know something.
I don't know anything.
Well, I also have seen the previews, so maybe we should say this is like spoilerish because
you got a buzzer,
because we're gonna go off of the preview to guess the medevac scenarios, and that's just
so you
us
might want to jump out. Yeah,
that's just us guessing off the preview that you probably have seen too. So it's not a spoiler per se, but if you don't even like that sort of thing, then just stop listening now. But yeah, let's do a medevac guess as well and, and go from there. And we're gonna guess boot order. Here we go. I'm switching over to our chart here.
Okay.
All right. Can you see that?
I see it.
So I believe
bro.
Yeah, I know, right? I believe the audience can only see it when I'm talking. I will figure out how to keep it on this screen at some point, but right now I don't know. So if I want to show the screen, I'll just say words.
Okay.
Okay. And don't let that stop you from talking, Katie. Feel free to talk away because it'll switch back to this screen. So, so this is what we're looking at here. Who do you think's going home next week?
Who do I think's getting medevaced?
Oh yeah, you're thinking the medevac is next week?
It is.
Oh, so we're sure of that. Okay.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think that's good.
Well, I know from a preview, the only one I know for sure from remembering that preview you're talking about is there is a shot of Aubrey on the ground with an IV in her arm. And that's never when they put the IV in, they put the IV in Caleb. Usually when the IV goes in.
Show his face. They did not show his face.
Whose face?
Caleb's, because they didn't want us to know. That makes me think Aubrey's not getting evac. They're just showing she needs help. Okay,
well, that's the one I know for sure at least needs help. But to me, when the IV goes in, you're in bad shape. So what else do you have then? Who for potential medevac?
Oh, you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it.
I don't. Is it Ty?
Yeah.
Why?
It could be. I could be completely wrong, and this is just by the preview.
Is it his legs? Is it the leg?
They show the doctor that comes at the end of the preview for this week is the same one that is talking about an infection that can kill him in like a day, and the person he's talking to has a certain kind of bathing suit on, and it's the same bathing suit that Ty has on. But that's complete detective work. I don't know if it's accurate, and I don't know if they're actually going to pull him from the game or not. But that's who I think is going to be the focus of this week's situation.
Okay, let's just go with that then. Unfortunately, Ty gets medevaced. He's gone.
Ty.
There he goes. Where should I drag him? Oh, I can make him disappear. I forgot about that.
No,
Ty. Is he gone? He's gone. He's gone.
He's gone.
All right.
But see, that's devastating to this group here.
It's devastating to the season, especially because of that.
It's devastating in so many ways.
That idol, man. Like, because there was a really good chance of that super idol happening.
That's what I was going to ask you. If it's a calm medevac, unlike the Caleb thing where they're like, get him out, where he is not even conscious. If Ty is like, still has his functions, but they're like, hey, we need to pull you from the game because this is going to kill you in a day. Like, can he make arrangements for his idol? Can he be like, Scott, here is this idol? Or is he just gone? And does he leave his bag? And can Scott go in his bag and take it? Like, how does that work?
I believe he would have an opportunity to do whatever he wants with the idol, whatever he wants to do. I'm sure he could flat out give it to somebody he didn't want to win and be like, take this idol, and now they have a huge target on their back. He could do anything he wanted. I'm sure if he.
But he'd have to do it in front of everybody. So that's the thing.
It would make it difficult. And if it was me, I would probably just keep it as a souvenir. I think there's only one person in the game of Survivor you want to win, and that's yourself. So you don't give the idol to anybody but Ty is a kind, sweet man. So maybe he does. Who knows? Okay. So,
but I'm sorry if that's spoilery. That's still just guesswork. I have no idea what's actually happening. I don't go on the message spoiler boards, but when I see a preview, I get kind of obsessed and I want to look at it and see what it says.
Sure. I mean, I did the same thing with Caleb,
right, which turned out to be right. So,
well, okay. So now that Ty's gone, this is the way. Let me get the screen back up here. All right, now the Ty is gone. This is the people that are left, and they're kind of arranged somewhat in alliance form, sort of. It's loose, but kind of. What do you see happening as far as alliances forming here?
I see Nick going with the Braun.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring him up in back where Ty was here, right there.
I don't know about Michelle and Julia. I really don't. I feel like Julia is going to be tight with Scott still, but I feel like Michelle is not going to want to work with Nick. But like she said, she doesn't need to be carried, bro, but she will go along with it until it's time to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. We kind of just have to pick a scenario and go with it, right? So I think you make a strong point that Michelle's not going to want to work with Nick. She's gonna decide to go with Brains.
Okay.
Julia,
you don't think Julia's
probably going to get pulled over with them?
Okay.
So
no.
So who do they vote?
They vote.
Do you want to go this? Do you want to go this scenario, or do you want?
But people can switch back.
Yeah, exactly. This could be a one vote thing. So,
okay,
but it also changes obviously the whole outcome. So, if this is we can go either way. We'll just pick one and go with it. It'll be fun.
All right, let's just say they go for Debbie.
I thought these were the ones with the numbers over here. Then.
Oh Brains, yeah, sorry. No, they're gonna go for Jason.
Yeah. So Jason, does Jason get word of it?
Yeah.
Okay, who does he idle out of the game then?
Aubrey.
So you think he sees Aubrey as the biggest threat? Not Neil? Because but
then Neil has an idol, and then someone else could get idol.
Is it the double idol play?
Go for Aubrey. I say Aubrey.
Yeah, let's simplify.
She's not got tight bonds. She screwed up that last vote, so I think she's gone.
Let's simplify this and make it Aubrey. So yeah, now we got they voted for Jason. He had to use his idol, and Aubrey got idled out of the game. Okay. Now this is where the numbers sit at this point. How do alliances form now?
I feel I feel like as soon as Nick's gone, I feel like Michelle and Julia are way more like, I feel like they want to work with the Bronze.
Yeah, I feel like they want Nick out.
Yeah, so maybe Nick will just go. Let's get Nick out of there.
Yeah, I could see a scenario where they're like, hey guys, we never liked Nick. If you guys are cool with it, we'll go with you guys. We get Nick out now, and we still have 5 versus 3, right?
Yeah.
So I could totally see that happening. Boom, Nick's gone.
Yeah. Okay, and then those two go back over.
So now they're like, we're over here now. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Scott's at the top. King Scott.
Okay. So
now you got the 3 brains left versus These guys. So these guys obviously are targeting Neil, I feel like, next.
But
So
I also say that Grandpa Joe gets medevaced.
Grandpa Joe medevac?
Yeah.
Okay. I can live with that.
Bye,
Boom.
Joe.
Gone. Bye, Joe.
Well,
Brains
things are
is
looking bad for your winner pick, or no, your second place pick.
yeah. Not good. Or my winner pick from the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah.
um
Okay.
so yeah, these guys are outnumbered, obviously. They gun for Neil.
Yeah.
Neil plays an idol. Who does he idol out of the game?
Scott.
Scott. Yep, Scott's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Bye, Scott. What we're left with right here.
Yep.
Are you sure he doesn't idol Jason out of the game after Jason plays an idol?
I think they're worried that that previous idol play will bite him in the ass again, and so they go for Scott.
They go for Scott instead. They're like, oh, he might have another idol. And alas, maybe he does have another
He
idol.
might. I mean, anyone could have one. Sydney could have one. Julia could have one.
Yeah. So we just don't know that, but this is still fun. All right. Where are we at? We got 4 brawn, or 2 brawn, 2 beauty in an alliance against our 2 brains. Neil no longer has an idol to protect himself. I'm pretty sure they have to go for Neil here and get him out, right?
I can see Neil winning immunities though.
Yeah. So should we give him 1 immunity?
Let's give him 1 immunity. Take Debbie out. They might want to keep Debbie. I don't know. When are they going to start? No, you're right. Get Debbie out.
You don't think they'll get rid of one of the beauties?
No, they're weak. I mean, perceived to be weaker than Debbie, I would say.
Right. I kind of have to agree with you there. Boom, Debbie gets voted because Neil won immunity.
Yeah.
Now it's Neil versus everybody. See, this is why I was worried about Neil, because there's just no scenaririo where unless somehow he ends up in some weird alliance we didn't see coming.
Well, he's working. He's on a tribe with all these people right now. He's on a tribe with Sydney and Jason and Michelle, and Julie is the only one that's not on his tribe, and he's on a tribe with Nick. So this could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But
well, obviously.
I mean, eventually Neil's gonna get got, so you might as well just get rid of Neil.
But real quick, while he's up here, an interesting scenario where my winner pick could come true would be like, the girls look at this, are like, man, Sydney and Jason, I don't know. And Neil comes in, makes a pitch to the girls. It's like, yo, can't let these guys get there.
That's true.
So maybe he picks those 2 off.
Yeah, get rid of Jason.
That's his only chance at that point. But I'd say odds are against him. So bye, Neil. Sad but true.
5th place ain't bad.
Yeah, deal with it.
Get rid of him. You've been wanting to for weeks. Get him out of there.
All right, there we go.
Sorry.
He's gone. All right,
I
think I got to zoom in for this one.
Yeah, this is hey, this is my final 4. This is who I have.
No way.
This is who I have as my top 4.
All right, my computer's struggling to zoom.
Oh, there we go. That's good.
There we go. Okay. Final 4.
Yeah.
So we got a final 2, correct?
I'm gonna guess so with all the medevacs. Yeah.
So who wins immunity out of these guys?
Sydney.
Okay. So now,
do you agree with that? I'm just going by what my list is. I mean, I'm going by what I see happening. I see Jason wanting to get rid of Sydney at this point, but she's gonna win immunity, and he won't have the opportunity, and she'll be able to get rid of him.
Yeah, I could see that. So she gets immunity. Girl power.
Yeah.
By Jason.
Yeah.
There we go. There's our final 3.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of these girls wins immunity?
I mean, odds are in Sydney's favor, I'd say. But I don't know. Julia could pull something out.
If she did, I don't know that either one of these girls takes Sydney.
No.
I don't think so. So the only way we can have Sydney as our winner
is if she wins. That's why I said she's got to beast her way to the end.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's becoming less likely to be the winner based on this scenario because there's immunities that need to be won. Because I feel like these 2 stay loyal to each other. But do you really think either of those 2 is going to beat Sydney in an immunity? Maybe Michelle. different kinds of challenges,
Yeah,
might not be all strength based. Maybe
might not.
Sydney sucks at puzzles.
Well, maybe. Yeah, I think she does. Yeah. But
Yeah.
the last immunity challenge is not a puzzle usually.
So do we want to say Sydney's winning immunity so that she wins, or do we say that?
I mean, I feel like you don't want to give it to Sydney just to have a different scenario than the one we've already discussed.
Right.
But I'm saying like the final challenge is usually something that it requires like an amazing amount of endurance, like one of those massive obstacle courses like Rob Mariano did in his season that he won.
Yeah,
Or else
where
it
he
requires a
almost
lot
died.
of yes. Or else it requires like a lot of like balance and that sort of thing. And I think that Sydney is just used to pain in her training for as a bodybuilder, and she's going to be able to withstand more of it than these two girls.
Okay. I can get on board with that. So which one does she take to the end?
I think she takes Michelle. I don't know.
I think she takes Julia.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense. Bye, Michelle.
And here's your final two.
And I can see Julia making a really good argument, depending on the game she plays to get there, which we have no idea what it's going to be. But I can see her. She's young, but she's smart and she makes good points. So
yeah.
But I still think Sydney would get the edge.
Yeah, I feel like Sydney wins just out of sheer likability, and like we talked about with Julia's youngness, I think no one's gonna. It's sad that that's the perception, and because she maybe deserves to win, but that's based on perception. I feel like she loses.
Yeah.
Boom, Sydney.
Damn, get it, girl.
Maybe if you want, I can go through my my boot order list and see how it compared.
Let's rattle it off for me.
Yeah, it's from 11th to 1st. Scott, Neil, Aubrey, Joe, Debbie, Michelle, Ty, Julia, Jason. Well, I would have Scott in 3rd, Jason in No, I'd have Jason in 3rd, Scott in 2nd, Sydney in 1st.
You said Scott was booted the 11th.
Oh, I put him twice. Who am I? Who am I missing? I wrote him twice.
The first one voted out, but somehow he gets 2nd place. Okay.
Well, I think I forgot Nick.
Yeah, so Nick isn't making it to 2nd place, right?
Maybe. I'm just gonna go ahead and put Nick in 2nd place.
Okay.
And then Sydney. That's my boot order I came up with before we talked. So yeah, I also had Sydney.
Nice.
Sydney is looking the best here. Your power rankings, you have her. My boot order, I had her in 1st, and our little scenario we played out, she's in 1st. So Sydney, man, you're
looking good, Sydney.
Yeah.
Watch her get medevac tomorrow night. Oh my God, that'd be so sad.
Be hilarious. I would laugh.
And we should just never do any more predictions ever again.
Yeah. I will keep doing predictions. It's just fun.
That's true. Who cares? I'm always wrong, so what does it matter?
It's just plain fun.
It is. That was fun. I liked that.
Indeed, I enjoyed it as well. I hope you guys did too. I know it was a really long podcast, but I mean, that's what we do. We just sit and talk about Survivor forever and ever, and that's cool.
Basically. Mm-hmm.
And I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Wait, we don't have any sponsors.
No, Never mind. What? We got sponsors?
No, we don't have any sponsors.
I would like to take a minute to apologize. I'm still coughing a little bit, but it's getting slowly better. So I'm sorry for all the coughing.
No, it's fine. Nobody cares.
Okay.
So we will hopefully start to grow the channel and get out there a little more, and maybe we will have sponsors someday, but for now we just have fun doing it. So if you listen to this, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We do.
And we'll see you guys. Are we shooting for Thursday night for podcast on the recap episode?
Whatever works for you. I'm down for either one.
Okay, we'll either get it up tomorrow night or Thursday night. Basically our recap podcast. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.